Okay, I figured to get a quick video of both of these engines I picked up from auction. I know the sneak peek showed them separately, but it's easier to do actual video of them together. First of all, this is a 12.5 horsepower Briggs V-twin Vanguard. Pressure lubricated, and it has the oil light sensor, all that stuff, like a bigger Vanguard, like all the Vanguards. It's just a 12.5. It does turn. It appears to have compression. It doesn't appear to have any knocking sounds inside the engine. So it sounds like both connecting rods are intact. And it might actually turn out to be a halfway decent engine. I'm going to have to remove the exhaust. So I don't have anything that would mount to with the way the exhaust is currently. So what I'm going to do is remove the exhaust. I'm going to mount it in a frame. And we're going to see if it runs. It's the easiest way to do it. I want to see if it runs, and I got a plan for this engine, but I don't know yet. I really don't know if I want to put it in what I'm thinking about putting it in. I actually have a couple things I could potentially put it in. That'll be in a later video. But most likely this engine will be sold. Unfortunately, it's missing the fuel pump, but I do have one, and it appears to have a fairly new starter on it. The original starters on these machines used a roll pin to hold the Bendix gear in place. This one appears to be the newer style that uses the little clip, which is a good thing. I hate the roll pin. Those are always hard to pull out. Pretty much any starter you have a roll pin, and if they're a little bit rusty, you're fighting with them. So anyways, this one here will be a later video. Unfortunately, it uses the square style air filter. I don't know if it has one in there or not. I'll look into that too at a later date. But other than that, it's a fairly clean looking engine. It does have its fan cover, and it's complete minus the fuel pump, which is not a big deal. Okay, the second engine is a Briggs & Stratton 18 horsepower opposed twin. Actually, they called it a Briggs II, but it's basically just a Briggs & Stratton opposed twin. This one's also pressure lubricated, which is kind of rare for these engines. You don't find too many of them that are actually pressure lubricated. At least I haven't seen very many of them. More of the Kohlers of this style, they were all pressure lubricated. But the Briggs, yeah, you might get a pressure lubricated one, but you might not get one. I believe this was most likely in, I'm actually thinking like a rear engine machine. I cannot think of the name of the machine offhand, where the engine's actually at the back and everything is driven off the flywheel. I just cannot think of the name of those machines at the moment. But since it is missing the fan cover and it is the correct color, but I could be wrong. Like I said, I just cannot think of what it is. It is the standard 1-inch crankshaft right there. Actually has a bolt in it. That's the way it was. The exhaust is here. This engine does appear to be complete. It does have a starter, which I was kind of worried about not having a starter. So that's the first thing I checked for when I picked it up from the auction. Does it have a starter? And yes, it does. And it actually also came with a lifting chain, which is actually bolted into place. So it's making me think they just recently pulled it out of something, or they parted out a machine, and this is the engine they parted out. So I'm thinking this probably runs. Again, it does have compression. It does turn over. It doesn't appear to have anything knocking around inside the crankcase, which is good. I have not checked the oil on this one. I have not checked the oil on the Vanguard as either. Also, the Vanguard is also a 1-inch crank by, I believe, 2.5 inches long. So standard length, standard setup for pretty much every traditional lawn tractor out there. So actually, let's check the oil on this one right now. It's right here. The Vanguard's kind of hard to check. Reasonable. Not overly dirty. A little bit of dirt, not too bad. Doesn't smell like gas, which is good. It does have a newer style voltage regulator. So I'm thinking this was probably in service not too long ago. And it's 659 cc. So I'm reading it upside down, so. Oh, sorry, 656. CC, my bad. It's got an air filter. Seen better days, but at least it has it, which is the main thing. Put that back on the way it was. For what I paid for both of these, the starters and carburetors, stuff like that, would be more money and worth basically buying both of these. Or if I was to strip them down for scrap, that's basically what I paid for them. There wasn't many people interested in either of these engines. There were a few other engines. There was an old Wisconsin, and there was a bunch of Hondas. I was kind of interested in them, but I figured for what I bought, I was good enough. I don't really like hoarding engines. I don't like keeping them around because they do take up a bit of space. I don't really have the space for them. That's why I put some stuff in storage. And lower here, we'll check this one right here for an air filter. Might as well. Yep, it has one, and it's not the greatest. So again, I think this one here will run. Which one will I do first? I don't know. When will I get to them? Maybe this weekend, maybe sometime next week. I have some stuff coming up that I need to look at first. Then these will be probably next, because I don't want to hold on to them for too long unless I do decide to keep the Vanguard. But the opposed twin will not be kept. It's basically going to go right back out the door. I do have a second opposed twin as well, but it's missing the carburetor. So I might try to sell them both at the same time. We'll see. And it's a non-pressure lubricated Briggs as well. So it's the same as this, just non-pressure lubricated. So anyways, that's pretty much it for both of these engines. I know it's a little bit of a longer video, but showing one kind of rare, hardly seen engine, and one that is somewhat common, but they are getting harder to find. And there are people actually looking for these engines since they are getting harder to find. So that's pretty much it. So talk to them later. Please keep it redneck like always, and please subscribe and comment.